From Kingston, Jamaica, a little shaggy man. Jamaica, yeah, the islands, summertime. You know, AAA Central can get you there. Memorial Day weekend, over 39 million people traveling this holiday season. And please, we always ask you to take your time. And remember, never ever drink and drive. And listen, if you are going to drink, be responsible. And I know you can do that. And that's why I love what they do at the fine wine and spirit stores in Western Pennsylvania. They are the pros, and I really do admire what they do. And tomorrow they'll be open, many of them here in Western Pennsylvania. So if you're going to be having a picnic, a celebration, please feel free to stop by. And remember, that's one of the things that I believe the government, along with the post office and, well, folks, they actually do right. And I'm very proud to salute the United States Postal Service. Many of those hardworking men and women are veterans of this country. And of course, they are as well, many of them employed by our fine wine and spirit stores. Now, your Pratte Pack, up since 1:30 today, put a lot of time in the plant, went and watched my son graduate from Quigley Catholic, amazing mass at St. Ferdinand's in Cranberry. The priest, Father Bob Miller, a job well done as always, very powerful homily, talking to those students, including my son, as far as their future and how they will be connected forever. And that's what being a high school student is all about, getting that diploma and making those lifelong friends. So a job well done. And I just ran up to the Monaca Arby's. You see this, folks? You can drive in or maybe even slide in. How about this? For $1. Are you kidding me? For $1. A pizza slider. Pretty good stuff. Now, you see this? This is Coons Market K-Cup Coffee. Tim Horton. Who is Tim Horton? Former hockey player from Canada who was befriended by the late, great Dave Thomas. You may know him from Kentucky Fried Chicken and Wendy's. Well, they've got those Tim Horton restaurants. They've got one in Calcutta, but they also have incredible K-Cup coffee. So why hockey? Why not? Penguins, game 1. We'll have much more on that throughout the series right here, so don't touch that dial. What else? Okay, now, sports news first. And Johnny Barbado is pitching for the Pirates in the top of the 8th, and they are trailing 7-1. They did get a homer from Gregory Polanco. He went 400 feet deep center field, but Glasnow got chased by the Mets, and it is now 7-1. Tomorrow, Arizona in town, 4:05, 93.7 The Fan. Kevin Kisner, 10 under. He wins the Dean and DeLuca Invitational, and a group of 9 under include Jordan Spieth, who finished second. Memorial Jack Nicklaus's tournament in Muirfield, Ohio begins this Thursday. And it was Takuma Sato, your winner at the Indianapolis 500. But how about Chip Ganassi Racing's Scott Dixon on the pole between turns 1 and 2? Now, this is a 1.5-mile oval track that they go around in 40 seconds. That's how fast they're going. Well, Howard's car careens into the wall, bounces off, and Scott Dixon had nowhere to go but over and up and airborne. And miraculously, thank goodness, he is A-OK. And I'll tell you, it just goes to show you one of the most amazing spectacles in sports. And again, your winner, Takuma Sato, now 40 years of age, who was a rookie just 7 years ago. Lightning, red flag, rain at the Coca-Cola 600. And here is the rundown. Lap 247 of 400. Martin Truex Jr., Matt Kenseth, and Kyle Busch. Those are the people that are the leaders of the pack as they try to get the NASCAR Coca-Cola 600 finished. President back in this country, and earlier I was watching the Fox Business Channel trying to get caught up on the president and other things, and I happened to see a show from 2003 from a man that I still will always consider a great military strategist and historian and a true American hero, Oliver North. War Stories. I don't know if you've ever seen it before or not, but I actually sat down for a few minutes and watched Douglas MacArthur, who was born in January of 1880 and died April the 5th, 1964, an American 5-star general and field marshal of the Philippine Army. He was the chief of staff of the United States Army during the 1930s and played a prominent role in the Pacific Theater during World War II. He received the Medal of Honor for his service in the Philippine campaign, which made him and his father, Arthur MacArthur Jr., the first father and son to be awarded the medal. He was one of only 5 men ever to rise to the rank of General of the U.S. Army, in the U.S. Army, and the only man ever to become a field marshal in the Philippine Army. And it was talking about how he attempted not once but twice and failed getting into West Point, finally did. And then, of course, he rose through the ranks quickly, became an amazing strategist. Even General Pershing at times had some issues, especially with his dapper dress as far as his military attire. But he made a name for himself in the Great War, World War I. And we all know what he did as far as I Shall Return, the beaches, the South Pacific. And in 1964, he passed away. But in the early 60s, he made what would be his final appearance at West Point, his beloved military academy. And the great Oliver North was talking about people like Patton, Dwight D. Eisenhower, General Lee, and Grant, how they all walked those same grounds that the cadets today that are still there learning and eventually going on to serve this country and protecting us from foreign invaders. It was just a remarkable journey listening to him tonight. But that, of course, the famous speech at that last appearance at West Point, the voice obviously tired and gravelly, but he said that old soldiers never die, they just fade away. Tomorrow, we have a very special Memorial Day broadcast at the Monaca American Legion Post 580. The commander, Dennis Arbogast, and my good friend John Marchand and others are going to be welcoming us, and we're going to be there just about the time the Monaca Parade concludes, and we're going to have 3 hours of nothing but saluting the men and women of our military. And my guest will include Congressman Keith Rothfuss right after the 12:30 update of news on the Disk Institute of Pittsburgh Newsline. He's going to be out and about. Very busy day for him tomorrow. He is a big proponent of helping veterans in this country, and he works very hard out of Washington every day to do that. He will join us. And then on the 1 o'clock hour, he has been on a tour of the United States and also Fort Bragg during All-American Week, helping promote men and women in the military. And also his book, which is getting rave reviews. He actually just had a book signing in North Carolina. Barnes & Nobles did extremely well. Bob Dvorak. It is all about his time as an award-winning Associated Press journalist covering Desert Storm. It is entitled Bedouin Bob and His Adventures as Far as Desert Storm with the 82nd Airborne. So you want to get that book, Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble. But he'll be by to tell us about his week and also salute the men and women of the military. And also we are going to focus on Vietnam, World War I and World War II, as we did on video earlier this week from the Legacy Studios in East Liverpool. And then coming up in the 2 o'clock hour, it will be my good friend Tony Accomando, who I received a text message from earlier tonight. And you know, it just wouldn't be Memorial Day without hearing from him. Truly a giant in my mind as far as promoting men and women of the military. Friends of Da Nang, in which he and a number of other Vietnam veterans went back to the home of their enemy and helped rebuild it with schools. And it's an amazing story. He'll tell you about that. If you haven't heard it, you want to tune in. And also life-changing Dogs for Service veterans. It's just a wonderful cause what they're doing with man and woman's best friend, helping these veterans recover from a number of issues. He will join me for that. But also, because he too a military strategist and historian, we are going to look at the epic life of Douglas MacArthur, truly one of the unsung heroes, I still believe, as far as our country's freedom. And any time that I can get an opportunity to promote them, I will do just that. We will also look at General George Patton and General Dwight D. Eisenhower, the three men who would be generals and who would guide our country in the greatest generation in World War II. So it's going to be a wonderful day tomorrow. And again, I hope you get out and pay your respects. And remember to always say to a service man or woman, whenever you see them, not just this time of year, thank them for their service. And it is that ultimate sacrifice that has given us the freedoms that we now have. And remember the words of Douglas MacArthur, so true. Old soldiers never die. Even if you were paying your respects at a cemetery over the weekend and you're looking at that grave marker, and many of them have been dead for decades, and maybe some that never even came home from the war to be greeted by their families, and there's nothing more than a marker there, that old soldiers never die. They just fade away, but their memory is as vivid today as it was the very first time that they stood and saluted the American flag. Good night from the Pratte Pack Gym.